Hello and welcome to the Valley. Today I am your host, Janet Michael. It is Extension Office Friday, so we are on the Zooms today with Joanne Royalty. She is an associate extension agent based in the Frederick County office, though she does serve all 5 of our surrounding counties. She is also one of the Northern Shenandoah Valley Master Gardeners. We always talk about something garden related or nature related. And Joanne, we were talking a little bit before we started for the show about what a complicated growing season it has been this year.
For sure. In this beautiful region that we live, we always think anything will grow and we will be successful. But we are learning more and more that we must be adaptive gardeners because there is so much change going on that we cannot control. For instance, I know a lot of folks have called up at our health desks and said, what's going on? Is it me? Everything I'm planting, it's just staying still or not looking very healthy. And yes, sometimes it could be you if you haven't bought the right plants or you haven't done a soil test and you don't have good soil and haven't been feeding your plants. But a lot of times it's things you cannot control, like the awful weather we had in the spring. We had lots and lots of rain and then cold snaps. And then we moved into the summer and had intense heat and not a lot of rain. So that's nothing I can control, nor a gardener out there. So, how can we still enjoy gardening while dealing with all these things that are out of our control? And I know this season I had given a lot of plants away because I grew them in my very little greenhouse. And as I gave them away, they looked healthy. 2 months later, they were still slow to start. So we've got to not feel guilt about our gardening efforts and do the best we can. Some things we can do in spite of the challenges: buy the best possible plants, get organic, do native plants. If you are growing plants from seeds, make sure you're using organics. Have good soil. Mulching is a wonderful thing. Saving leaves is a wonderful thing. I can't tell you how many years I bagged up hundreds of bags of leaves because I have those 27 oak trees on my tiny property, and then I would go out and buy mulch. Leaves are our friend. Use them in the garden. They're a wonderful tempering mechanism to keep moisture in. So you've got the mulch. Now you've got to think about watering. There have been a lot of people in the region who have expensive water bills this season because they are trying to water all those plants that they lovingly tendered. So how can you think about best ways to water? One of the things I always tell folks is don't water at 12 noon when the sun is high in the sky and it's hot. And by the time the water reaches the plant, a lot of it has evaporated. Stay away from things like those sprinklers. Those oscillating sprinklers may look cool, but again, they're throwing water all over and so much of it evaporates. Think about drip irrigation systems. If you can manage it, get a rain barrel or two for the chance when the rain does come down, you can collect the water and then use that to water your plants. When you're watering, try to put the hose, direct it right at the base of the plant. What does that do? It gets the water where it needs to be, it gets it to the roots and encourages them to have deep root growth. So those are some of the things that you can do. And then be vigilant about watching for diseases. We described what happened in the spring with the great amounts of rain and then cold snaps. That can lead to more plant diseases than we'd like to see. So it's really important to just be out there inspecting your plants and removing diseased ones. Sanitation is so important as well. If you've got diseased plants, clean up around them and don't make the mistake that I did, which is all that diseased plant material putting it in my compost. You don't want to do that because then you're growing more diseased plants when you use that compost. So any diseased plant matter, bag up and throw away, and hopefully it won't impact anybody else's plants as well. Sanitation in the garden. We've had a lot of calls this year about lilacs. They're saying, Joanne, what's happening to my lilacs? They didn't bloom and now the leaves are all curled and brown. I don't know what's going on. Should I rip it out? And some of the pictures that we've seen, those plants could use a good haircut.
Uh-huh.
People need to make sure, especially in times of stress, that they're doing the best they can for their plants, making sure that they've cleaned out around the base of the plant, making sure they've done a lot of good pruning so that there is air circulation there. There's a lot we can't control with how the climate and the weather impacts, but there's also a lot that we can control to help our plants survive it and us be more sane as we are dealing with these weird weather patterns. So I think we're going to hear more and more talk about adaptive gardening. How can you make the most of whatever weather is going to throw at you? You've heard me talk before about raised beds. I love raised beds,
Oh, me too.
especially as I've gotten older. I'm just not a fan of kneeling on the ground and planting those things. I like something where I can just stand up next to it and it's all contained. And what that has shown me is not only can I control the soil in a much better manner because it's in places where I can reach it and sustain it, it's not all over the place. I can plant a lot more in a raised bed and not have to worry about rows and rows of separation. And raised beds tend to be more water efficient. So, anybody who's out there listening and really wants to have great success and just has a little bit of gardening area, I would suggest raised beds. And the good thing is, at this end of the season, a lot of them are on sale.
Now is the time to be looking at
Yeah,
some of those deals and discounts. And the other thing is, you can make them fairly
absolutely.
cheaply and you can make them out of all sorts of things. They don't have to be these fancy wooden raised bed planters that you sometimes see when you're walking through a garden store. You can make them out of just about anything. They can be large or small. I always like to pick up those old metal tubs that they used to use back in the day. I'm assuming to do laundry and things like that. Drill a few holes in the bottom of those. You put some legs on them, and then they're more manageable. You can move them around if you need to get them to where the sun is or isn't. You can really be creative when you're doing raised beds.
Absolutely. You can recycle, upcycle. I've seen a lot of people use those pallets. You do need to be aware if you're using like old fencing and it's, I believe the year was 2013. I'll have to check that. But there was some wood that was treated with chemicals. Now, any of the wood you buy is fine today. So if you've got lumber that you're not using, go ahead and be creative. There are so many ways to do that.
And then when you were talking earlier too about rain barrels, they're not crazy expensive. There's something else that you can also make yourself out of a 55-gallon trash can, even. We have two. We have one that we haven't connected to one of the gutters yet, but we have one that we've been using for a while now. And it has a spigot at the bottom.
Yep.
And it sits at the corner of the house, and right across the walkway is my big flower garden. So Tim is able to just take a hose, connect it, and run it straight over into the flower garden. He doesn't have to water from the top. He can just let it come straight out of the rain barrel, and they fill a whole lot faster than they empty.
Yes, and why not? Otherwise, that water is just running off. The other thing I will say is all the counties in our region have been really good about trying to help homeowners who are gardening and offer at reduced prices rain barrels and composters. And they usually have those sales early in the spring. I know right here in Winchester, where I'm talking from, they do that, and there's a lot of people who stand in line to get those because They may not want to build their own or go out and spend a lot more money. So there are so many things that you can do. I'm thinking of my addiction to Amazon boxes. So many of us get things delivered to our home, and I see those boxes and I think, I'm not just trashing them. That is such a wonderful mulch material. When I'm mulching under my bushes and stuff, I put that down before I put down any leaves or soil. And it does hold in the moisture and it degrades. So I feel like the bargains I'm getting at Amazon continue because I'm using the boxes and recycling them.
It's
But
all coming full circle.
and the Amazon is just one. Any store that you buy from, use all their boxes.
Let's take a break. When we come back, let's talk a little bit about the season that we're coming into because fall is here. If not officially, it certainly feels like fall. And you're seeing the mums all over the place, grocery stores, farm markets, things like that. And we talk about this, I think, every season, but people need to understand that they can plant those. They don't have to buy them, enjoy them for a little bit, and then toss them aside. So, can we talk a little bit about fall plants in the next segment?
Absolutely.
We are on the Zooms today with Joanne Royalty. She is an associate extension agent with the Frederick County Extension Office. We are talking gardening today, and we're going to do more of that when we come back in just a couple of minutes. In just one day, you can help shape a stronger, more connected community. On September 19th, United Way of Northern Shenandoah Valley will lead Day of Caring, the region's largest single-day volunteer event. Over 900 volunteers will roll up their sleeves to help local nonprofits with projects that matter. Painting classrooms, repairing shelters, planting gardens, organizing food pantries. Whether you're a business looking to sponsor, a nonprofit in need of an extra set of hands, or a neighbor ready to serve, there's a place for you on Day of Caring. This is what community looks like when we come together. This is care in action. Learn how to get involved at unitedwaynsv.org/dayofcaring or email dayofcaring@unitedwaynsv.org. One day, hundreds of hands, lasting impact. Join us. Welcome back to the Valley today. I am your host, Janet Michael. It's all about gardening today. We are on the Zooms with Joanne Royalty. She is an associate extension agent with the Frederick County Extension Office. She is also one of the Northern Shenandoah Valley Master Gardeners. We talk every fall about what's happening in our gardens or what we wish wasn't happening necessarily in our gardens. We talked a little bit, Joanne, about the impact of climate, but then some tweaks and some workarounds that people can do to still get as good a crop of flowers or vegetables or whatever it is that they're growing. And I joked with you before we went to break about grocery store mums because I feel like people buy those and they bring them home and they sit them on their counter or on their tables and they enjoy them for a while and then they die and they throw them away without realizing they can put those in the ground or in a pot outside and enjoy them again next year.
Yes, that's always been a strange thing that people do. Although going back to the grocery stores, I do have one concern. Every time you go into a grocery store in the fall, it seems like they are in love with cinnamon and they want to have that fall flavor. And I'm just saying, maybe we could tone it down a little bit. We like the mums. We love going to the garden centers and getting those, and the color is awesome. So, yes, enjoy all of those, but know that you don't have to trash them at the end of the season. They will come back. So, you're getting double bang for your buck. They will go on for many years. I usually go to the reduced plant areas of some of those stores, and some of those mums may look a little bit wilted. I bring them home, give them a good drowning, put them in the ground, and yes, they're good to go for many seasons. So it's something to think about. I mean, this whole fall season, I think it's my favorite time of year because we've been working so hard all spring and summer, sometimes at a manic pace to get everything put in the ground and weeded and grown and nurtured. And then we come into this time of enjoyment, but it's a time of transition where gardens are plentiful and giving us lots of stuff. And then the nights are getting cooler and hopefully the drought will abate. And so it's what can I do now? And when I was younger, I used to think, I'm just ready for this garden season to be over. I've worked a lot and now I need to rest. But every time I go out into my garden, and I try to go out every day and notice what is going on, what's changed, because it is so enjoyable to see it evolve. But now I'm like, we've got longer growing seasons, so why not do something else? It's a more relaxed time typically because the weather is cooler. Typically, we'll have more moisture. It's like one of the best times of the year to plant plants. And for those of us who may have had some horror stories or not so successful ventures in spring planting, it's another chance to redo what didn't work in the spring because those same kind of cool weather crops will be perfect now. A lot of the cool weather crops that I would suggest are ones that mature in 40, 50 days. So you're not having to wait long to feel good about growing it. Some of the things I'd suggest are any of the lettuces, mustard greens, peas. I know one of my favorite gardeners grows peas all the way up until December. Now,
Wow.
he does have a raised garden bed, so that's another plug for that. Kohlrabi, radishes. Does anybody out there like radishes?
I'm not a fan. They look
But
pretty on a salad sometimes, but that's about it. I usually don't eat them.
they look so pretty, and there are so many different varieties, some sweet, some really hot. They grow almost instantaneously. Spinach loves the fall. You can start harvesting about 30 days after you plant it. Swiss chard takes a little bit longer. Turnips, I'm a big lover of garlic. So this is the time I start thinking about getting some organic garlic bulbs and planting them. Now that's not going to be ready this fall. It takes about 120 days. So, next May, June, it'll be ready. And homegrown garlic is
Well, and speaking of
worlds
bulbs,
away.
now is the time to put tulip bulbs in the ground. Anything that you want to come up, even in February or March,
Yes,
now is when you need to get them into the ground.
yes, and you can buy them online. You can go to some of the big box stores. Try to get the best quality bulbs that you can. Look for natives when you can. Look for things that are drought tolerant because that's what we're in now. We have to adapt to what our gardens are going to be dealing with. So if you can buy the best and give them the best start, you're ahead of the game. Tulips are wonderful. People do lasagna gardening where they'll plant tulips and daffodils and it's all in one pot and then they come up at different times in the spring. So they talk about that being layered like a lasagna. There are so many things. And you'll hear me say on a lot of the programs, it's fall. Even as you do your gardening, be aware of the insect pests and the insect friends that are out there. Especially in periods of drought, those insects are looking for food. They're looking for water. So for our beneficial pollinators, make sure you have a little puddling pond for them. I just use a nice big bowl and I put it on a stand and I make sure I fill it up. I put some rocks in so the butterflies and bees have a little place to sun themselves too. You don't have to buy a special dish or contraption for it. Hummingbirds. There's so many pollinators that we can help to take care of in the fall, in the spring, actually all seasons. As we go through drought periods, folks have called up and said, there's a lot of wasps here, there's a lot of hornets here, and they're pretty angry. I'm angry too when we have hot weather and no water, so we have to understand that. But typically, if you don't bother them, they won't bother you. If you have a big hornet's nest right by your front door, obviously you're going to have to deal with that.
Right.
But I wouldn't go.
And there are things you can do to just prevent them altogether, which is put up a fake hornet's nest and they will not make a nest next to your door anymore. I've seen people that crochet and knit things that look like hornet's nests and hang them on their porches,
Now, I haven't heard that, but that's non-chemical, and I'm all about
right?
not using any pesticides. I have to put in a plug about pesticides because many times folks will call up, and whatever the problem is, the first thing they ask is, what can I spray? With all the things that are going on in our world, with climate, with our ecosystems, whatever you spray does not only impact that one thing, it impacts your entire world, your ecosystem, the birds, the insects that are there, your plants. So if you have to spray, and I know sometimes you do, use the least damaging one and try other alternatives first. I'm not talking about Miss Sally's cure for your tomato blossom end rot, but research based things that will work. That's what we're all about, obviously, at Virginia Tech, Virginia Cooperative Extension, and that's what our master gardeners go through this training to help folks understand that. And any of the things that we talk about, you don't have to have particular websites for it because, in most cases, if you were to put in Virginia Cooperative Extension, box tree moth, or Virginia Cooperative Extension tomato diseases, you will pull up that scientific knowledge that you need. So definitely do your research. Reach out to us at the help desks in all 5 counties. We have master gardeners who man them and just love to help folks. Of course,
And
I'm prejudiced because I'm here in Winchester, but everybody, they are dedicated and they like to be busy. Somehow this fall, a lot of folks haven't come in to physically visit us, so I'm encouraging you to do that. Come and chat with us. Let us know how you're doing. Let us know what problems you're having. And we also like to follow up. Maybe you reached out to us in the spring and you said, I don't know, my roses don't seem to be looking well. I'm seeing spots on the leaves. We want to know, how did your rose do over the summer? Stay in touch. It's all about the relationship we have with each other because we're in this together. We're growing together. We're living together.
all of that is free. There is no charge, no cost or anything for them to reach out to any of those help desks and ask a question, get feedback, get some advice. All of that is at no charge.
Yes, and even if they don't want to physically come in, they can always email, they can always call up. So many, many ways to interact with our master gardeners. And of course, they're always out in the community at various events. We've got the Tree Fest coming up here in Winchester. We have plant clinics out in Luray. If you go to the libraries, some of our master gardeners will be doing walks and talks, tent talks around the library. So there is always something going on. And the best way to see that is to go on to the Northern Shenandoah Valley Master Gardener Association because everything through that association is supported by master gardeners who have gone through the training. But there you can see all of the events that are coming up, any classes that we'll be doing or any webinars, they're all there.
And that's nsvmga.org, right?
Correct, correct. And I will caution folks, we are in the midst of revamping our website. It looks a little bit different. We hope at the end of the process it will look better. So if you try to access it and it seems a little bit wonky, we ask for your patience. So what are you going to start planting? That's what
I'm
I
actually not. I don't think I'm going to plant anything new this season. I've got a lot of stuff that I want to move. My black-eyed Susans have exploded and they are taking over my entire garden and I have a better spot for them. So they're all going to get relocated to a different place in my yard this fall.
Oh, wonderful. That is perfect. We have a lot of bee balm out in front of our office. And yes, this is the perfect time to thin out those plants, move them, or better yet, give them to somebody. Make new friends through plants. Have a plant swap. It's absolutely perfect to be doing some of that.
I hadn't thought about a plant swap, so now I'm going to have to give that some thought.
Yes. And then the other thing is think about those great herbs. For some reason, herbs have done really well. Tomatoes, not so much this year, but herbs, basil and chives and thyme, they've been just exploding. Don't let that basil just die on the vine. Make some pesto, give it to folks. You can bring in parsley and chives, stuff like that, and have it growing on your kitchen windowsill. Now, I haven't found the perfect rosemary plant that overwinters. So if anybody knows of one, they can let us know. I know there is a winter hardy one, but I don't seem to be connecting with it.
Yeah, I
So,
haven't been
yeah,
able to find because I love rosemary. And
yeah,
basil is great because it does double duty in the summer as well because it is a natural repellent of mosquitoes.
absolutely. And it's just so easy to crush in your blender and pop in the freezer. And then at some time in the winter, if you feel like making pesto, you just take out some of that.
Yep,
But
I sprinkle it on my spaghetti sauce.
love it.
Thank you. I appreciate your time today.
I love talking with you and reaching out to all the folks who have a passion about gardening.
I will be back on Monday with a brand new episode of The Valley Today, a few minutes after noon. So meet me here then.